Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to our session on building Indian pet food brands globally. It's a pleasure to host this discussion at a time when India's pet food sector is entering what we truly believe could be a breakout decade. And I think we've been most excited about this webinar for quite some time. Over the past few years, the Indian pet food industry has evolved from a small niche to one of the most exciting consumer and manufacturing opportunities in the country. Rising incomes, rapid urbanization, smaller households, and the emotional companionship pets offer in a fast paced, digitally connected, yet increasingly isolated world have all fueled its rise. Pet ownership in India has surged dramatically, and with it, the demand for premium, natural, functional, science based pet nutrition. And we were just discussing some time back that, what you can't eat, how can your pet eat? So you have to be that careful about your pets, just like they are a family. And so the kind of considerations which we have for human nutrition are pretty much being replicated, which is a very positive trend for pet nutrition. Industry research shows how sharp this curve has been, particularly in India, because India's pet food retail market has more than doubled in recent years. Pet population in India, according to data, has risen from 22.1 million in 2018 to 38.5 million in 2023, a CAGR of 11.7%. Retail sales of pet food had were estimated at 245.4 million US dollars in 2018, and 2023 this had reached around US dollar 629.6 million, which is a CAGR of 20.7%. Forecast suggests that retail pet food value in India could reach $1.3 billion by 2028, which is a CAGR of 15%. And according to another source, the value was one US dollar 466 million in CY 2024 calendar year and projected to reach 1.2 billion by 2028, pretty much similar. On the other hand, the global pet food market is estimated to reach around 139.3 billion by 2030 US dollars. So, which means we are looking at an opportunity both domestically and globally, which we have probably just started to explore. What's most encouraging is the shift in both consumer behavior and industry capability. Of course, we see a very positive build-up of a startup ecosystem. At the consumer level, pet parents are much more conscious, demanding high-quality formulations, transparency, safety, and global standard nutrition. At the same time, Indian manufacturers, supported by our strong raw material strengths in agriculture, modern processing systems, and a maturing ecosystem in agri, are producing products that can genuinely compete on the world stage. That is why Indus Food, the F&B trade fair, which is organized by Trade Promotion Council of India every year in January, and we are coming up with our ninth edition in 8th to 10 January 2026, has taken a very decisive step this year by introducing a dedicated pet food pavilion. We have, in fact, observed over the last two editions a remarkable pattern that global buyers from which we invite from over 100 countries every year have begun actively inquiring about Indian pet food brands, private label manufacturing, treats, supplements, and specialty formulations. So this is something which we were missing in our exhibitors lineup, which we have constantly upgraded. We've added new categories over the years, and we felt that this is a segment which we want to start, and we have a deep conviction in it now because led by the feedback we've received. And this buyer behavior is a clear indicator that the global market is opening up for Indian products, and India can be seen as a serious and a scalable high value sourcing destination in this category. This pavilion is our way of giving this sector the stage it deserves, bringing together manufacturers, exporters, innovators, technology providers, global retailers under one platform where business conversations can mature into long-term partnerships. Tonight's session is about understanding how Indian companies can ride this wave, build global-ready brands, create trust through quality, align with regulatory expectations, craft products that resonate worldwide, and appeal to the customers which we see in the global market. I'm excited for the insights that our distinguished speakers will share and the opportunities that this dialogue will unlock. With that, it's my pleasure to welcome our esteemed panelists for today's session. We have with us Dr. Mohit Lalvani, founder and CEO of Captain Zack, Mr. Bhupendra Khanal, CEO Dogsee, Mr. Sidarth Mahindra, Chief Pet Officer, Value Pet Supplies Trading LLC, UAE with operations in UAE and India, Mr. Bharat Mandot, CEO of Stelcore Group, Rakhi Rana, CEO and Head International Business and E-Commerce at Drools, Mrigant Gudgutia, Partner Redseer Strategy Consultants, Vineet Khanna, Co-founder Supertails, and Jeffrey Thomas, Manager Business Development Walmart. And before we move ahead, of course, I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome to my sincere thanks to Shruti Agarwal, co-founder of Export Circle, a remarkable non-profit organization which is committed to empowering Indian exporters as they expand their global footprint. So, Export Circle has been, in fact, an invaluable community partner for us in today's session, and their support has been instrumental in bringing this important conversation to life. And furthermore, I must say that Shruti's commitment to the exporter ecosystem and a deep understanding of global markets make her an exceptional ally for this dialogue. So, I welcome Shruti as co moderator with these words, and I would like to invite her now to take this discussion forward with our distinguished panel. Over to you, Shruti.
Thanks, Virat. Thanks. Hi, guys. Good evening. And I'm Shruti Agrawal. I'm building ecosystem that helps Indian brands to go global through Export Circle, Export Hub, and Export Connect. My focus is on simplifying global market access and creating clear pathways for founders to scale beyond India. With 19 plus years of experience across e commerce and cross border trade, I have worked with startups, large platforms, and thriving communities, learning what truly enables brands to succeed internationally. My goal is to share those insights in a practical, no nonsense way so more Indian products find their places on global shelves. I'm also happy to co host this session today along with Virat, and together we look forward to making it meaningful and actionable for everyone attending. We are doing the question answers session with our panelists, and after that, people who have joined this session are, we are happy to take the questions in the later stage. So, guys, if you have any questions, please put it in question and answer box so that once the session is over we can take those questions and our panelists can answer those. So I'm starting with the questions. My first question is with Mohit. Mohit, Captain Zack has been a pioneer in science-led formulations in India's pet care space. From your vantage point, how is science-backed nutrition evolving in global pet market, and where do you see the biggest product innovation gaps Indian brands can fill?
Good evening to everybody. Thanks, Shruti, and thank you, Virat. So, my background has been in the pet grooming space. So, when I launched Captain Zack, it was inspired by my pet Zack. And by the way, if you hear dogs and cats barking here, please excuse me because there are 7 pets in my house right now. Zack has passed away; he's no more. But what inspired to start this brand was to help Zack eat better, and he was not eating because of his grooming and his hygiene. And I think hygiene is the first point. So before, we've got panelists like Bhupendra and Vineet and others here who are and in fact Rakhi as well, who are heavily into food. And I'm not too much into food, but it's connected to what I'm saying. It's important to give your pets a very healthy diet because that gives them a healthy life as well. So I've seen it, and I've got enough evidence to prove that if it's not nutrition, if there's not enough nutrition, they have skin issues, and 90% of the times you're spending money at the vet, and there's no vet here, by the way. They're making good money, is because of the topical issue, which is led to food. So so when I launched Captain Zack, all my products were science based. They were all with pH that is acidic, that is alkaline, higher pH 6.5, specially meant for pets. I did testing on humans, not on animals. Of course, that's banned. I tested it on human skin for people who've got sensitive skin with high pH. So I could correlate that if this human's not itching, then the pet will not itch as well. In my short journey of foods within Captain Zack, what I understood and what I figured out was that the more fresh and the more homemade it is, the better. And again, there was a lot of science because certain foods are not good, certain foods are good. You should be able to see the food in your recipe, then you know what cooking for your dog. And of course, as Virat said in the start as well, everything that I cooked, and by the way, there are videos of me cooking food with Zack looking into it in my kitchen, and I have just been taught on that day itself. I'm not a cook normally. But when I cooked, it was so interesting because I could sense my pet wanting to eat that more than what he wanted to eat his own food, because it was made with with obviously with love, but also scientifically with the right amount of vegetables, the right amount of chicken, the right amount of non-veg, veg combined. And I think that's the key. So I don't know, the word science really is that the science is connected to that, but I think it's important that uh, good nutrition for the pet will lead to good health of the pet as well.
Good point, Mohit, and very valid. We will come back on the following question after this, but I'll move back to Bhupi. Bhupender, Dogsee Chew has scaled from a Himalayan origin product to a globally recognized brand. What were the key strategic decisions that helped you crack international markets very early?
Okay. So there was a clear uh, uh, path for us to go global, right? And it was both ways. One is, as I ran software company earlier and always did a global business, I had a hindsight that obviously global is the way to go. But also there was an economic compulsion for us when we launched. We actually launched because our is a yak chews, right? Very premium, I would say, at that point of time. Currently, now all the other products have also like with the inflation, it's catching up, and we are somehow able to control the prices. But when I go back, it was very, very high. It was about 3 times the average chews that would be available in the market, right? So it was very difficult for us to sell in the India market. And then I started exploring outside naturally. And then when we looked at international data versus the India data in terms of food and treat market, obviously even a market like Argentina is bigger than India even today, right? So I saw everything that backed my hypothesis that global is the way to go. So at the very start in 2015, when we started 2016, we started to look outside. And unfortunately, we were able to crack the European Union. It was actually an accident type of a thing. I was looking to export to somewhere in the world, and one Spanish company, they approached me in LinkedIn saying, we saw the axis with you, and we were trying to import this. We saw this product in US, and we want this in Europe. So I went with them. So that was quite a journey actually. So first we had to figure out that how does Indian product go to Europe, right? And and then there was not a very clear path. That was not a norm in India, in Indian industry that time, where people would export very easily. So we went from one door to other, Director General of Foreign Trade, Export Council of India, and then Indian Embassy in Spain, Spanish Embassy in India. So I started to write to a lot of people, and then finally I found that there is a body called Capexil in Chennai, and they would be the company or the body to help, right? So we somehow navigated that path and then got that approval to export to Spain. And then when the first consignment went, right, so that was at least 50 times larger than any of the other consignment that I had done locally in India, right? And it was a significantly large consignment for us at that point of time. Then I actively started looking outside, and we reached out to some companies in UK. And it was initially we just went through Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, a lot of the social media that we could get, and thankfully we cracked one of the company in UK, and then we sold. But then after this, what we realized is pet industry is very nicely structured if we go outside India, right? India, it's nascent, and I know a lot of people from Akshay from Pet Fed to Viratji and Shruti. You guys are doing this now, so there are a lot of people who are helping structure this industry. But in the West, people have already done that long time back, right? So there are certain bodies. So we actually found in UK that attending some good pet events like Global Pet Expo in US, Super Zoo in US. There is Pet Fair Asia in Japan. There is SIPS in China. So there are a lot of such good structured events where we could go and meet all the major importers and distributors at one place, right? We found that in 2017, and then we made that a norm that at least two global events we would attend every year, right? So first 2 years we didn't have enough money to put the booth, so we just attended. Then we started keeping our booth. Then we kept booth till 2023, right? Then booth also became like we had distributors there, and then like everything was always there. So we stopped keeping our own booth, and we just started to ask the distributor that why didn't you keep our product in the booth, because the guy is there, and we just go visit and meet a lot of people in the industry to explore other markets or other segments, right? So mostly like it was a incremental knowledge that I gained from the industry, I would say. Then I knew everything that I should be following this path. That is what it happened. But on that, I think one of the strategic uh, milestone that we took, which was very significantly helpful, was accidentally I met a guy who was ex MD of Hills Pet Nutrition in UK, and he connected to me to somebody in Australia called Dr. Graham Dixon, and he was the MD of Hills Pet Nutrition in Japan, right? And I took him in consulting role for a couple of years to help me structure the global market and to understand how to penetrate this industry in a deeper way, right? And with him he got another of his colleague called Bernadette Chim, one Japanese lady in Japan, and then I got her also in the consulting role for about 3 years. And they helped me structure not only the process how to sell, but also what to sell, where to sell, whom to approach, how to approach, and all lot of that I did. So I believe that a lot of the people who want to export outside, right, my suggestion is that we are obviously the masters of what we build, right? But it's always good to take export along the journey, so that you don't make mistakes, so that they can just guide you and you make lesser and lesser mistakes on the journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a beautiful journey, Bhupender. And I think most of the brands who are building global market has been through the similar journey. The good part is that you've got the advisors on board who are helping you to go in the right manner. And that's the right way to go about it. Beautiful journey.
Thank
Thanks, Bhupender. My next question is with Siddharth. So, Sid, as a major regional distributor in the UAE and India, what are the top sourcing gaps you see that Indian pet food brands can immediately address to strengthen their presence in Middle East?
So, first of all, I just want to thank you all and congratulations, Bhupendra, for that successful journey that you've had. It's very inspiring to hear. We've been in the pet industry for 21 years, and it was something which was very taboo before we went into the business. So I haven't given up on India as yet. I still think India is a thriving, growing industry, and I think that everything should be made in India as much as I live in the UAE for all my life. So I'm very pro India. Um, Number one, if you see on the back of my screen, I've written something which says "Build first, and they will follow." Why I've written this is because from the UAE mindset, we don't build because there is a need, but we build because we want to build, and then you create the need. You know what I'm saying? So in India, it's the opposite, where we're trying to build something because there's a demand for it. Like Dr. Mohit said, we were too early. I think it was a blessing in disguise that you were too early, because that's what really sets the industry's trend. And so I think from an Indian mindset, one of the things that I want to say is that we're very bullish on trading. We love to trade. We love to do dhanda. This is what we're good at. However, what I believe is we've got to build the brand first for it to really, be exported to be called a brand. So that's one of the points that I've written, and also the brand success. So let's say if a manufacturer is in India, and he gains success or she gains success or it gains success as a brand, it does not necessarily translate to success in the Middle East. Because in the Middle East, you have different tastes, you have different nationalities. I mean, we have 200 nationalities just living in the UAE alone. I'm not even talking about Saudi, Oman, Bahrain, which are growing economies. So over 200 nationalities, they have different tastes. So we've definitely got to nail that aspect. Then I've also written we have to focus on more premium, functional, and breed specific food. Currently, we've gone from table scraps to economic kibbles and home cooked food. We've got to think about premium, functional, breed specific products in terms of dry and wet food. And also, I feel that a good product is not enough for the global market, because it's got to be compliant. One of the things I heard from Bhupendra was on documentation and paperwork, which is something that India needs to really narrow that gap. I mean, I would love to do business with Indian manufacturers. The hindrance for us really is A is packing and two is documentation. So if you're not AFCO certified, if you don't have the right documentations, you don't have the data flow. I mean, getting products into India, they make you do all of that documentation, right? Process flow and flow chart, etc., blah blah blah. But when they're exporting outside, sadly, our manufacturers don't have all the documentation. So there are very few brands that have it. And I see a lot more larger conglomerates in India now getting into pet food. So I believe that the industry will automatically correct itself, and you will have documentations coming through, because everybody is going to think global anyways, and everybody wants to come to the UAE. So sooner or later they'll have to comply with those things. But yes, all in all, I feel that these are the few gaps, the 3 or 4 gaps that I feel that they've got to really start building the brand just before they get into trading. So there's a huge amount of opportunity in the Middle East. And just for you to understand, the growth of e-commerce and quick commerce in the Middle East is the fastest in the world. It's growing at 30 to 35%, whereas India's e-commerce is growing at 6 to 8% year on year. But in the Middle East, it's 30 to 35%. So these numbers are startling. So Indian brands need to get out there and make a lot more noise. They have to make their voice heard amongst a lot of noise in the Middle East. There's a lot of noise happening in the Middle East, a lot of buzz happening in the Middle East. So it's all about the person or the brand that makes the largest sound is what gets heard. This is what I would like to say.
Sure. Thanks, Siddharth. I think you have validated what we've been telling to people. Focus on premiumization when it comes to Middle East. Obviously, packaging has to be premium and has to be international quality, and 100% compliant is something that people should not compromise with. That's what will help you scale in that country, right? Very well said. My next question is with Rakhi. So Rakhi, Drools is one of the India's largest and most widely distributed pet food brands. What are the major shifts you see in international demand for Indian made pet food across your key markets?
Hi everyone. Hi Shruti. And good to hear every panelist a lot of insights. And Siddharth, I mean, as you mentioned about Dubai and UAE. So just to share with everyone, we are the first Indian manufacturer who has its own company in Dubai now. So I mean, Drools is officially an MNC now because we have our own setup in Dubai and we are selling goods there by our own. So just wanted to share this information with everyone. Yeah, so Shruti, going to your question, when you say that, I mean, what are the key trends and all of those things in the market? So, see, every country is different, right? And Drools is exporting to 22 plus countries from over 13 years now. So, we came into existence in 2010, and from 2012 onwards, we started exporting. So, first container went to Sri Lanka and then Nepal, Bhutan, and then right now, major presence is in Indian subcontinent, Middle East, which is majorly in GCC countries, and then Southeast Asia, and few countries in African continent. Right. So we are available in Israel, Palestine, also in Middle East. Right. So what we see the major trends which are happening globally right now is, and most of it is like mirroring India as well. First of all, the small breeds are growing in dog food, if I talk about in dogs specifically. So small breeds is growing when I come to pet types first, and then cat. So the cat parenting and small breed parenting in dog is growing in major countries where we are already present in. Second, I would say in terms of pet product. So when we say that the small breeds are growing, then obviously the pet treats is becoming really popular now, right? And in pet treats also, people are going majorly towards functional treats, like good gut health, and then joint health, all of those things. And we see also the shift towards naturally built product, fresh food product, organic product, so all of those things, and less processed product. So this is what is also picking up in the market these days, and accordingly, as a manufacturer, we are also taking some steps towards it. So we've recently just introduced fresh food, keeping all of those things in mind. And this particular trend is not just picking up in the globe, even in India as well, right? Third, I would say, in terms of trends in channels, as Siddharth rightly mentioned, the e-commerce space, right? In most of the countries, rightly said, in GCC, e-commerce and quick commerce is growing like anything. Even the same stuff is happening in Southeast Asia and in Israel as well. So, I mean, e-commerce is something which is growing up really fast. And for any emerging brand, which is right now in India and want to go global, I would even recommend them, if it is difficult for you to, catch all the channels, just select such countries or the continent where e-commerce is growing, go and tap that particular channel first. That will gonna be the very good go-to market strategy for them. Yeah, so these are a couple of trends which I see. In terms of offline, I would say, since the e-commerce is growing in major countries, in most of the countries, so the pet shops are evolving themselves. They are not just the pet shops, they are becoming grooming as well as vet clinics as well, because they want to cater to the customer with all the whatever they can have in one stop solution, like Super Tails has just done. So they have opened clinics, and you can find grooming inside, and then obviously the pet food as well. So this is what is happening even in most of the geographies. Last year we went to China. In China's e-commerce is in this industry somewhere around 72 to 73%. And when you go to the pet shops there, pet shops are absolutely converted into grooming centers and vet clinics. And when we visited there, a couple of pet shops, there was section for human accessories, because while your pet is having grooming sessions, you enjoy do your shopping. So this is what the trends these days now. So pet shops are not just the pet shop for pets, it has become for human as well, right? So let's see when it happens in India. But yeah, this is how, these are the couple of trends which I wanted to share with everyone. Yes.
Sure. So it has become the experiential zone overall, right?
Exactly. Not
Yeah.
just for pets, even for pet parents.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Rakhi. That was wonderful insight, and Rules is doing amazing, and all the best. I think
Thank you.
we've been talking about compliances, and we have none other than Bharat from Stelcore. So my next question is with Bharat. Bharat, Stelcore has deep experience in global sourcing and building supply chains. What are the biggest operational bottlenecks Indian pet food manufacturers face today in scaling to export grade production?
Okay, so basically, in this case, what happened, like Indian manufacturer are more, you can say, less aware about the compliances in the global markets. So, for example, you would like to enter in the US, or maybe you can say UAE, or maybe any other country. So, because since the pet food contains the non-vegetarian kind of component, so where the compliance became little bit more critical, and the hygienic kind of things also be taken care of very effectively as compared to routine food product. Then again, the second part is that, like for human food, the compliances are different than the pet food. Okay, so generally, if US market is good for the like human food, it doesn't mean pet is also in the similar way for that particular country. Second thing, in terms of penetration point of view, like Middle East is the right kind of market, or maybe you can say wherever like people are more willing to keep the pet and all, as compared to a like mass population you're targeting. Okay, not necessarily everybody can afford the just keeping the pet and all. So the pet food, when it comes to nutrition and other specific kind of things, it is like become a little bit challenging, like if you are not following the compliances rightly, because you just assume the structure of that particular family which is like keeping the pet. First of all, they are taking care for themselves in efficient manner, then only pet comes in. This is my assumption. I'm just telling you the overall basis. Okay. So they are very well aware about it, like how to take care for this, what should be the nutrition value or many other things. Okay. Then this should be if compliance point of view, you are lacking somewhere. Okay. Then the challenges start coming in to what exactly the company is offering and what exactly it should be. Okay. So that's where you can say major leakages start coming in. So in terms of compliance point of view, every country need the separate assessment to be done. You have to do study market accordingly. Once compliance done, then enter it. So in terms of, as Rakhi told, like GTM point of view, you can target all the e-commerce kind of countries, which is easy to enter.
Am I the
From
only one who's not able
we
to
can.
hear?
No, we lost him, I guess.
Bharat, you are
Okay.
non-audible.
Compliance. Is it clear now?
Yes, it's clear now.
Is it clear now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what I'm compliance build the trust about the product in that country so that end customer or pet owner can just buy with more trust. And when it comes to the Indian manufacturer point of view, it little less awareness about the global compliances because Indian brand which is globally accepted are very very few. Not you can say just rule put that effort or may like few more, but not every brand. Okay. And the production and other facilities also should be done or compliant in that particular manner only. Otherwise, it will be a hygiene issue. As I told you, it is content, non-veg content is already there, or maybe some documentation and all. That's why it became much more critical.
Sure. Um, thanks, Bharat. Moving to Vineet. Super Tales has a uniquely strong understanding of urban pet parents in India. What behavioral or purchasing insights from your platform could help Indian brands design more globally relevant products?
Thanks, Shruti. Thank you, everyone. Glad to be alongside so many, stalwarts of the industry. Shruti, as you mentioned, see, Supertail's biggest differentiator is our depth of behavioral and purchase intelligence for India's both urban as well as non-urban pet households, because we operate not just as a commerce platform, but also across services like pharmacy, clinics, at-home services, teleconsults. We are the largest teleconsultation provider for pet healthcare in the country. We are able to see problems the pets face and how parents are responding to them. This gives us a lot of insights and, in a way, forms things which have direct implications of product design. While we do it for India, but we are able to compare it with the global markets as well. Some of those insights that we are able to see is first is India has one of the most diverse breed mixes in the world. There is this presence of Indies, Persian cats, and alongside the pure breeds, which does not exist in the same mix in different countries. Now, each of these breeds have different metabolic and dermatological needs, as well as Dr. Mohit would conquer as well. Our data shows that Indies typically have 20 to 30% higher incident of skin issues. They require through their pet parents conversations, we see that they require lighter, more digestible diets. Now, not many brands have built for these kind of segments, and definitely not all global brands have built for these kinds of segments. Brands that formulate for Indian breeds can also create SKUs which can become relevant for some of the emerging markets, as Rakhi was talking about, Southeast Asia, Middle East, etc. The second insight is Indian climate and urban living patterns are, very different, and they create different kinds of unique health challenges, fungal allergy spikes, joint issues in our apartment kind of living while we have, large breeds living in them. Weight gain, post neutering are all examples of insights that keep coming through our clinic and teleconsult data. Now, brands can use these insights to build, these kind of functional diets, as Siddharth was also talking about. These diets will be, more on, solutions which are more topical to India. There'll be preventive care formats, etc., which can come from these insights. Third is that the Indian pet parent is becoming now data aware and science driven. They're seeking clean labels. They are looking at back of the pack. They're asking for or searching on our platform for hypoallergenic formats, vet recommended solutions, etc. So all these searches were very generic in nature in terms of dog food, cat food, in the past. But now you are seeing so many nuances getting added. So that, that also provides Indian brands to innovate on both, functional science as well as affordability. Because, there needs to be a new premium created between, alongside value creation. So it cannot be Indian consumer is always going to be cost conscious, if not cost sensitive, right?
Yeah.
So there has to be value created, and it should still be functionally premium. So I think these are the few insights that we see from the pet data as well as the parent data that further makes us believe that this opportunity is huge in India. India can move from being just a consumer of global pet care products to actually being a producer for it, because the needs, the climate, the pets, and the pet parents of India are different from every other country.
Hmm. And when we think about global, what would have been changed if we really need to go global? Suppose Super Tails is doing that. What is that one thing that you will change in the first go, given the data and insights that you have?
To be very honest, we understand that the pet market is very structured and evolved outside India. But for us as a platform, we feel India is such a large opportunity that we would only distract ourselves by going outside. It has so much to take care of. We always talk about this as a desert that no matter how much of water you put it in, it gets soaked in. So it is at that stage today that we would want to go wide and deep within this country, when it comes to pet care as well. And that has been the the vision at Supertails as well. We started as a pet food only platform. We moved into accessories, then we launched our first teleconsultation facility that maneuvered into being an e-pharmacy platform. Today we are the largest e-pharmacy platform in the country. Now we have ventured into providing healthcare in physical formats like clinics. We already have 5 of them in Bangalore. We've also started at-home services. So if you notice, while there is so much to do, but there is so much to still, address when it comes to, an Indian pet parent. And I will, take this opportunity to say that Indian pet parent, or rather pet parent in India, pet parenthood in India is a little harder than it should be.
Mm.
So I think that is where we feel that there is so much of an opportunity to solve for this Indian pet parent, or I would even go ahead to the to saying that to somewhat an ignorant Indian pet parent, and help them and handhold them to become better pet parents and to enjoy their pet parenthood, than just be worried about the hassles of it.
Sure. I think you're building end to end for a pet parent, right? Not just selling the product. So that's beautiful and that's really nice. I don't think anyone else is doing in the similar way, and I think it's very very sensitive as well, and something which you can't find anywhere, right? Thank you, Vineet. Pretty insightful though. Mrigank, my next question is with you, and I'm hoping to get some insights from you. How do you see the pet food category evolving within India's digital commerce ecosystem? Which online models, marketplaces, D2C brands, subscriptions, present are the strongest growth opportunity from premium and functional pet nutrition?
Thanks, Shruti, for the question, and thanks for having me here. I think we at Red Strategy Consultants look at the pet care market very closely, and we have been studying this category for some time now, both in the Indian context as well as Southeast Asia, Middle East, and US and other markets. I think I really resonate with what I think Vineet mentioned previously, where we see as part of our work that the Indian pet foods and wider pet care is kind of like at an inflection point, where we see that the penetration has accelerated very sharply in the last 4 5 years. And then I think we are at a kind of a inflection point for the pet care industry in India, where we see that multiple themes will be playing out, and the market has really like a huge headroom to grow over the next 4 5 years. So I'll talk about some numbers, right? So I think looking at the overall pet care space in India, that stands as per our data somewhere about $4 billion today, and India has somewhere between 30 to 40 million pets. A lot of it is majorly dogs, but I think the mix is also potentially expected to change as we see in the global markets. But I think pet foods today stands at roughly about 600, 700 million within this pie and is growing faster than the overall market. And the biggest trend that we see within pet care slash pet foods is there's a lot of migration happening from local or homemade unorganized purchases to brand led, organized, and digital purchases, right? So that's the single biggest factor driving the growth of the market. And as part of our ongoing work, I think we ran some of the surveys on pet parents and pet across the cities of India. I think what we see that packaged food has become the default choice for a lot of the pet parents. I think at an aggregate level, some of them are spending 50,000 or even 1 lakh per year on the pet care. And the biggest theme that we see within packaged food, particularly, is there is a rising appetite for spending on mid-premium, premium, and functional diets across the board, right? So that premiumization trend, I think it was discussed earlier during this session as well. I think is really something that we see from our on-ground consumer data as well. So right, that's one big theme. I think the second big theme that we see is that vets are increasingly influencing the dietary choices across functional situations like dermatology, gut health, and the other pet situations, right? So they have become a very important functional factor in driving the pet food consumption. And then again, as part of our work in the US, EU, and other markets, we see that India in maybe 5 10 years, and almost we are starting that journey today. I think we are going to see a lot of growth in functional food, pet food products across wet food, functional diets, and natural supplements as well, right? So it's really a very exciting time for this the pet food segment. And then I think with this whole theme of premiumization, veterinary influence, and the move towards, let's say, functional foods or personalized foods, what we see is that digital channels have a very, very important role to play, right? So I think Siddharth mentioned earlier in the call about the digital market in India. Of course, if you think from an overall online lens, the Indian market has seen some bit of a slower growth in the last few years. But the fact remains that today, because of the huge digital access with quick commerce and e-commerce, you are able to reach, with overall e-commerce, you're able to reach more than 200 million customers all over India, right? So with pet foods brand, I think that is the right channel to really create that extremely large access in a very, very short amount of time. And that is driving, let's say, discovery amongst first-time users, people making the shift from unorganized or unbranded to packaged food. At the same time, quick commerce has come up in a big way. That's a segment we write and study a lot about. And now we see that quick commerce is touching almost 40 million customers, typically the mid to higher income groups across the bigger cities. And that's where I think a lot of the brands that I think some of the brands, even on this call as well, I think they have a very, very strong quick commerce presence. And that's a fantastic channel to drive those repeat purchases in a short amount of time, discover new kinds of products, and over a period of time, build some kind of comfort with the high quality premium functional products. So we do believe that online channels with traditional marketplaces and quick commerce has a very important role to play to establish the product market fit, to establish the whole discovery of the pet food brands in the eyes of customers, especially since so many are first time customers of these packaged foods or high quality products. But over a period of time, we also believe that brand.com as well as subscription based, let's say, purchase forums, that will be a very important forum to drive, let's say, loyalty, repeat purchases, and that premium feel, right? So I think that's where we will see some of the pet food brands migrating over a period of time. But at the same time, the traditional marketplaces will remain extremely important to build out the initial scale and to build out the initial layer where customers are discovering, exploring, and getting comfortable with the wide variety of new products, probably for the first time. And then finally, I think given our work with other D2C brands in other categories like beauty, personal care, and food, and so on, I think the offline presence becomes extremely important after a point in time where it unlocks the next wave of revenue, and I think just makes you truly a brand which is distinguished from the others. So that those would be my, I think, major points where I think we're very excited about the way the overall pet foods market ecosystem is evolving, and online is playing an extremely critical role in building out the first layer of growth for many of the brands.
Sure. I think you have validated what we've been discussing with the panelists, and thanks for adding more to it. I think you have shown that omni channel still exist, and online platforms are good for the first layer, which we call as a discovery, but eventually building it in offline and online with a mix of your D2C portal is as important as anything, right?
Yeah.
So thanks sharing that. Great insights. And I'm going to Jeffrey, who's from Walmart, and I'm looking forward to more insights on the online side. Jeffrey, one question for you. As a global retail giant, what are Walmart's top evaluation criteria when considering new pet food suppliers, especially from emerging markets like India?
Thanks, Shruti. I think Siddharth already mentioned, I think the number one focus area for all brands should be compliance, right? Because I think a lot of Indian manufacturers, Indian brands, they have quality in terms of products, but they take a step back when it comes to documentation and compliance. So I think even Bharat from Stelcore has, I think, involved with a lot of brands that reach out to him for helping them set up with compliance documentations, etc. And Specifically when it comes to e-commerce, I think pet food is one of the few categories in Walmart marketplace, especially from I think from 2021 has consistently seen triple digit growth, right? Very few brands or very few categories see that sort of growth since 2021 to 2025 now, consistently seeing triple digit growth, right? And that is, I'm talking about from India, right? India cross border trade has, yeah, it's like one of the key areas that we focus on because it falls in that sweet spot of high ASP products that has a repeat purchase value, right? And if you focus on positioning your brand well, and if you focus on I think a little investment in advertising, getting that right sort of visibility. There is no limit to what kind of market you might be able to penetrate purely because of the fact that at least the latest trend is such that pets are like your new kids, right? So people do invest in their pets. People do try to actively engage both in terms of pet food and pet supplies. So yeah, I mean, in short, I would say compliance is key to enter the market, and then good positioning in terms of your value proposition, in terms of your visibility, investing in ads, and having the right sort of like deals, offers that you can roll out to just start asking your target audience to start trying your products, because it is a repeat purchase proposition, right? And if your first sale can, even if it is happening at a loss, your second sale might be a profit. So look at it from that point of view, and that's my little bit on this.
Sure. Thanks, Jeffrey. I think we are sitting at 7:50 almost, and we'll go ahead with the questions that our audience has asked from us. And I will throw these questions to anyone from the panel to pick and answer. So Dupinder Bedi is asking, how do we import to Scandinavian country, especially Norway? What EU rules and regulations to be followed?
Okay, so see, those are among the most difficult countries to enter, right? The process that I would suggest now, right? When we started, obviously we went on discovering what is required and kept doing it. So we ended up, spending a lot of energy and time and resources in fixing each countries. So what I would suggest is, if anybody is looking to export to US, UK, Europe, or even Canada and Japan, all those advanced countries, right? The first thing is to better yourself so good, all right? And there are global certification bodies in India who will help you. Like you can get CTPAT for supply chain, you can get HACCP, you can get ISO 22000, BRC, and a lot of those global standards of food manufacturing, right? And once you set up a factory with at least the BRC requirement, by the way, BRC is one of the highest standard in the world. So I'm saying at least because that should be, I think, the first benchmark before going to those countries, especially uh, the Nordic countries, right? They're very, very strict. And once those processes are followed, there are enough consultants in the country where if you Google, you can find it, a lot of them, right? And they can help, SGS and a lot of this labs, they have the bodies who certify on this. I would strongly suggest to go that path, and then actually to export to anywhere in Europe. The basic documentation is not very different. It is almost the same. You need to have a CAPEXIL certificate where, based on which part of India you are from, you can just connect to the local office. So for Eastern India, the headquarter is in Kolkata. For North, it's Delhi. West, it's Mumbai, and South, there is a capital office in Chennai. All right. So CapExel guys will actually guide you through whatever the requirements are. So they will give you the basic requirements. So once your factory is CapExel certified, you're technically qualified to export to anywhere in Europe. All right. And then uh, related to the food certifications, if you are actually exporting in your own brand, so I would strongly suggest, again, you take a consultant on packaging labels and all those, because there are very, very strict guidelines, right? In Europe, my suggestion is, if you're not already exporting to UK and US, please don't do to those countries, right? You start with English countries because it is easier to manage. You can just give your labels in English, because a lot of these European countries require localization of the contents, especially the legal content, right? But then if you have a customer already and then you just want to do it, so get to CapExil, they will guide. Go to the local quarantine body, they will guide you, and then you are legally allowed to export. Get a consultant who can verify the packaging guidelines, and you're there. You are ready to go now.
Yeah, sure. Bharat, is there anything you want to add? Since you're from compliances side. You there? Okay, let's move ahead with the next one, because there's someone who has asked for the approvals as well. So Sohini is asking, as you scaled, which internal behavior or practices make the biggest difference in building sustainable growth, not just for fast growth? Anyone in the panel who can answer?
I think Siddharth has raised his hand. Siddharth, you want to?
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
I think
and you are looking for the sustainable kind of growth, then your product should be compliant or regionalized as per the local market law, or you can show that customer trust can be built up. And it will be a more sustainable kind of business if you can say customer trust is in place for such kind of product.
Sure. Siddharth, you want to add something here?
building a brand.
Yes.
As long as you're consistently growing the brand and building the brand is when you will be successful. Is my voice clear?
Yes, it is now.
So I think when you say that, what is that one behavior internally is that you got to make sure you have a roadmap for your brand and you got to be consistently delivering results. So whether it means you're procuring the right materials from the source, you got to do it again and again and every time. You can't do it every 3 months, especially if you're doing pet food or you're doing anything which is consumable. You got to make sure there's a repetition. That's what we're doing for India. We do a brand of cat food and treats across India. So we got to make sure that A, the documentation is right for India, and B, it's scaling the SKU mix. So you can't start with one SKU and leave it there. You have to start developing the SKU into different categories within the segment. So these are two things that I would really suggest you if you want to have sustainable growth.
Sure. Thanks, Siddharth.
I'll just add over here. I think this is a category of very, very high involvement and love. So, it is not a fast forward category. It's always a patience led growth category. So anybody who's building over here, if they're looking for a quick shortcut, then this is not the category to be.
Sure.
I think any product, any platform, any service, any offering for the pet parent should be built on trust, should be a service offering or a product offering that you will use yourself for your pet. And if you can't, hand on heart answer it for yourself, for your own pet, then don't offer it to the market. And that's how anybody entering this category should look at it. It's not a category to be toyed around with when it comes to offerings.
Sure. One question from Ritesh. How does dynamics for production and distribution for frozen food differ from the other pet food products? Anyone here in the panel?
So I can help help you with that question. So we do a lot with frozen food because at this point in time, we supply to a lot of the fish or larger aquariums. In the Middle East, you have a lot of aquatics and shark tanks and Dubai Mall, if you all have been here, or Atlantis, etc. So we do a lot of frozen food. Frozen food is a completely different ball game as opposed to what fresh food or kibble extruded food is. Especially with frozen, you got to make sure, again, it's documentation. Most of it is air handled rather than sea freight. So air handling is a lot more complex in terms of documentation, in terms of expirations, and in terms of storage. So you got to maintain the temperatures within your facilities, and you also got to have a very strong logistics process where you have refrigerated trucks or vans or bikes or whatever you call it, so that your logistics is the key is logistics, right? As long as you get your product, it's as quick as you can get it in, you got to get it out. So this is a ticking time bomb in terms of frozen food as opposed to other products. Other products, when we're distributing, we distribute about 10,000 products, and we can safely say that non-consumables don't expire, so they can sit in your warehouse. But that again may not be the right approach, because overstock is like let's say it's like your mother-in-law, right? You love her, but you want her to leave the house really quickly. So you got to make sure frozen food is something very similar to that. That as soon as it comes in, you got to find the right way to send it back out. So please do your research on frozen food before you get into it.
Sure. One last question. What about pet consumable products like wet wipes, cat litter, and litter bags? Are these categories also seeing equally good growth?
I'd like to answer this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Shruti, yeah, of course, these categories are growing. I'm considering the Indian perspective right now, even especially the cat litter. I mean, every household would have cat litter at home, right? This is how it is. And when you see the growth rate, especially in quick commerce, in the entire cat segment, cat litter is somewhere around contributing 20% of their business. This is how the growth rate is. And every month it is growing rapidly. I mean, we should forget about CAGR. We should check the CMGR in this monthly cumulative monthly growth rate. So this is how this category is growing. So I mean, just to answer the question, yes, of course, all these categories are growing, but the cat litter is the number one in this in terms of growth rate. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. So, guys, there's some questions which are not relevant for the forum. I'm ignoring them, and I'm so sorry. If those were relevant, I would have asked. I would request all the panelists to have a closing statement, and we'll end our session with that. Virat, if you want to add anything, you can.
Yes, actually, I know this is a very a wide question, but from an ecosystem perspective, I think a lot of very dynamic entrepreneurs who are, as I see, working with a lot of dedication and not with desire for some easy returns or quick returns. So that's really enthusiastic. But from an ecosystem perspective, any suggestions you would like to make in terms of the support this industry needs in India to grow?
I would like to add my 2 cents, Virat, here. I believe, this industry, there is no government regulatory body as of now, especially in India. So that is the support which all of us need. Maybe manufacturer can come and create a cartel and then represent that to the government and all of those things, but this is a need of the hour right now. When a lot of panelists mentioned about the lack of compliance and all of those things, a bit part is because of this also, because the industry itself is not regulated by the government as of now. FSSAI is not here, not any other government body which can say that okay, this particular industry is regulated. A lot of, I can see couple of questions related to how to start pet food manufacturing, all of those things. It is like very simple checklist. You need production license, then your fire extinguisher and all of those things, then your approval from water board, and then air pollution and all of those things. But all of these things are basic requirements, right? But which is the government body who is actually regulating it is currently missing, and I would request if TBCI or other government organizations can step in and then help the industry to make it a bit organized and regulatory, so that when we plan or think to export it to the western world, it should be pretty compliant for all of us, right? Still, having said that, I know Bhupendra has already compliant his product, and hence he is able to export to all the markets. But having said that, if you're starting the manufacturing facility and then all of these compliant stuff is already in place, then the whole world is open for you, right? You don't need to think and plan. Even you don't know that for Europe, most of the brands would not know, or the manufacturer would not know for Europe which kind of certification you need, because there's nobody who's explaining all of those things. You need to figure out by your own. Okay, Capexel is required for Russia. Okay, EIC is required for US. Okay, FDA is required. So you need to then people like Bharat and all are helping. So similarly, government should actually take come into this particular industry, that how to make it big. Second, I would say, how to then do the road shows. We should be actually available in all the big events, be it Interzoo and all of those things. Couple of IAFTF, PTF is actually helping the brands, but again, that space is very small. Even Binoy, he's the organizer for IAPTF. He actually approached us and he said that let's go to Interzoo and all, but the space is very small, 8 by 8. Being a largest manufacturer in India, we don't want ourselves to be present in just 10 by 10. We want government to support us and give us really big place, so that we can show the entire assortment what we have, right? So right now our manufacturing capacity, monthly manufacturing capacity is 15,000 tons. That's huge. And we are augmenting our manufacturing facility. In 6 months of time, it will gonna be 20,000 tons every month. So we need to actually publicize it really well, right? So these are the support which I would recommend that government or maybe you guys can help us there,
Right.
related to making it regulatory. Then second, of course, the road shows. So these
Absolutely.
are two cents from my end. I guess
Yes.
rest panelists can add further. Yeah,
Yes, I'll just like to add that I understand it's a very long-term perspective, and
correct.
yes, there is work which we would like to do, and that's the my whole objective behind asking this question. And TPCI would love to play a role in that. Moreover, and we are open to discussing how we can collaborate for the upcoming Indus Food. Any pet food exporters who are looking to tap the global market, we have a fantastic platform there. So we can have that discussion subsequently. But any other panelists would like to add in terms of yes.
So
Yes,
Virat,
Dr. Mohit.
yeah. So Virat, I purposely spoke less because I'm not got too many facts and figures, and I'm not, one of those guys. I look at it more passionately, and I think Vineet is sort of, stolen words from my mouth, and I echo those things and I've coined this the day I started Captain Zack. My mission was to convert a dog owner into a pet parent, right? And India has more dog owners. Everyone, they're all dog owners, right? But I can say I'm a pet parent. I don't know how many of you are pet parents. Puppy is a pet parent. I know that because I've seen how he loves his pet, right? But unless you convert a dog, so our Indian brands selling in India, who are you talking to? You're talking to a dog owner. The dog owner will not look at an Indian brand first because the prices are low and it's made in India, it's useless. That's the sad truth of life, right? So if you want to make a brand, if you want to take your brand, in fact, export is a sitting duck. Siddharth is the best place in the world. 30% on D2C and on e-commerce is, I mean, mind-boggling, mind-blowing. So the thing is that, because when you take your brand global and there's no fear, the small brand should have no fear as long as they're compliant and compliance. And as Bhupi said, there are a lot of consultants for compliance. India is not short of any. In fact, we have the best in the world. So if you get a good compliance and you're talking to the country that you're exporting to, if you're talking to a dog owner, if you're talking to a pet parent, I think it's the easiest sale because the cost of manufacturing in India is much cheaper. The raw materials for food industry, you get the best ingredients, the most healthiest. India is known for, and as Rakhi said, she's producing so much of chicken in your poultry. So it's a mix and match of things. But we are talking in India, we're all in the same race, selling to the same dog owner who's not going to give us any look or any credibility or any money. And that's why half the brands die. And that's the reality of life. So I think it's important if the trade council can sort of find a good consultant, get hold of about 20 very eager, small to not mid, but small towards mid-sized startups for food, right? And prep them up and sort of get them ready for exports. And then, of course, Raki's dream will come true that you can have people standing at Interzoo and all these exhibitions. Because I think Indian exhibitions, again, are great to be. But I met Vineet in what is that called? Zuberg? It was gone.
Mark, I believe. Mark?
Yeah, in Germany.
Yeah.
And it was, I couldn't cover the entire show. It was beautiful. But then I saw one small Indian stall there. So, for us to take India out of the map and take it global, it's very easy because you're talking to the right audience. People are still fighting with the dog owners here. That's the problem.
So I'll just add a couple of things here, Virat. So I have very, very specific ask that I have been putting forward to CapExil and few other bodies whenever I get chance, right? One thing is I feel, as Rakhi mentioned, that we need that body, right? Like US FDA has an veterinary department which regulates this. I think FSSAI should have that very formal and very structured thing, right? So that is one thing that I believe this industry desperately needs. And along with that particular certification has to be already compliant with the global ones, so that if you have that certificate, you are already auto approved for certain countries at least, right? I think that is number one, and number two step that this industry has to do. The other thing is quite critical, that thought that I have, right? Because so when Donald Trump was just throwing numbers and numbers to every country, right, and a lot of people were feeling that why is Donald Trump bashing the entire world, right? So I actually have faced almost that level of frustration while trying to export from India, right? Like, we are completely dominated by Thailand brands, and if you have to export to Thailand, you have to give your every SKU formula and then give every SKU registration in their office, right? Which I don't think it's fair, right? We need to, I think, go very aggressive. We need a Donald Trump in our import authorities, where they say that we are just going to put a reciprocal rules against you, right? Either you make life easier for our exporters, or we will make life hell for you, right? It's required for all the Asian countries. Mostly I face that, like, in China there is a whitelisting concept. In Thailand you have to do that. Malaysia, Indonesia, a lot of these countries, Asia Pacific countries especially, are really difficult, right? So I believe that as the trade bodies, it's time that government not only focus on petroleum and electronics manufacturing and promotion and control, right? But as we grow as an industry, that proactiveness is required in this pet industry, so that either either see, we are all people who are hardworking people, right? There are a lot of people. Everybody is doing a lot of things, and there are a lot of amazing brands in India, like Absolute Pet in Hyderabad is amazing in there, right? And I can see there are 5-6 companies in Delhi. They're amazingly good, right? So I can see a lot of good. Tayo in Chennai is amazingly good. But then what we lack is we don't have a level playing field in the global market. We don't have a level playing field in India, right?
Yeah.
A company CPC is coming to India and flooding their market everywhere, Indian market, right? And then when we go to Thailand, obviously we export to Thailand, right? But it took us 8 months and lot of resources to get that, right? And it was a complete. I sometimes I felt like it was not even a worthy thing to do, right? Because we could have just focused on US and then sold a lot 10 times more than what we can do a little bit in Thailand, right? So I feel this is one thing that our industry body should take it very, very seriously.
So, Bhupendra, I think it's not just you. I heard the same thing coming from Dr. Shashank, who from Drools, saying and asking the same thing to the government that we need those kind of government governing bodies who are kind of securing us, right, protecting us, what we are building. And when we say Make in India, we are proudly Make in India brand, right? And we should get those kind of authorities and protection as well. So it's not just you. I think a lot of brands are thinking around those lines, and you are bang on the point, which is required, and the government should be there to support us on that side for sure.
If I can just add, Shruti and Bhupendra, thanks for this. I just want to add, I think before it's great, yes, going to the government, etc. That's one. You need two hands to clap. So, but I just feel that before we go out, we should look internally. And I truly believe that the Indian competition that we have, they believe more in competition than collaboration. And I think Super Tails is a great example for me to see that Vineet, your team is doing a fantastic job to collaborate with brands, not compete with brands, no matter whether they're actually competing in terms of formulations or price. So what I see is that the Indian segment is all about how do I undercut this brand to win the market, to win the buy box. But they're not looking at how to go beyond the brand. I'll give an example without naming the brands, but we've got the inconsistency in terms of labeling. There's a brand that says we have 20% protein, but when you look at the packaging, when you look at their branding, it says 23%, 25%. That inconsistency of branding and labeling is actually what's deterring more manufacturers to come on board. So internally, when you look at it, they're not working with each other. They're working against each other. But whereas in Thailand, you have 6 factories producing canned food at different price points, but each factory has the unique selling point. Not everybody's producing the same food. Somebody is an expert in mousse, somebody is an expert in shredded blend, somebody is an expert in air dried, freeze dried. But in our case, everyone's fighting with each other just to produce the cheapest food. You know what I mean? So if you really want to be heard, you've got to start producing and you got to start collaborating with factories. And one thing I liked about Bhupendra was, I think what you reiterated to me was, again, it's not about competition, it's about collaboration. Because you said it's not going to you're not going to fall beneath the table if you ask for help. And that help was when you said, when you went externally, you spoke to a consultant, you spoke to a specialist. So you actually reiterated a thought in me, because a lot of times we feel if we're successful in India, we'll be successful in the Middle East, or we'll be successful in the US. That's completely false. So working with the right partners is very important. So thank you for reiterating that. And I think we need to hats off to you guys, to Patel, for bringing the brands. We sell some brands to you guys. We're doing great with you guys as a platform, but it's all because of collaboration and communication. Thank you for that.
Thanks a lot, Sid. Thank you.
Super Tales and Vineet has been really good collaborators with us as well. So as well as platform, and we do a lot of R&D and all that together. So I fully second Siddharth's thought.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So yes, Shruti, I think we can have some closing remarks if anybody wants to share something before we close the session.
Yeah.
Okay, since Jeffrey is here, so I just wanted to mention a quick mention that so last year, so we had a very long discussions with Walmart, and thankfully we got through. And Walmart gave us first time, when I started discussing with Santosh here in Bangalore office, and he gave me such a big list what is required to get into Walmart, right? So we were, I wouldn't say scared, but obviously it wasn't a easy thing to look at the list, right? But one thing that um, happened to us was Walmart team was extremely helpful. So I reached out to the team. They called us in MSME Summit. They called us in Delhi. So we had a long discussion. They called us in the US. I went to Bentonville, met a couple of guys over there, right? And the overall journey was really amazing. So I can also see that both Walmart and Amazon has global sourcing teams here in India, and I think we didn't touch that. So Jeffrey, I believe it's better if you explain that, because that was fascinating for us, and we are qualified to sell in Walmart now. We got through the audit process, right? And that has made me really happy. So I think that would be a really good addition for everybody who is listening here, Jeffrey.
Nice.
Jeffrey, you are in mute.
So the feedback I've heard from most brands is that Walmart has the strictest, documentation requirements and compliance. In fact, to be honest, I have had many brands get upset with me because of the kind of stringency they have in terms of allowing brands, and if you've made through, it's a big thing, right? And I think comparatively, so I've been a part of Amazon too. Prior to being a part of Walmart, I've been a part of Amazon too, and I think Walmart takes it a step further in terms of ensuring consumer safety, right? And that's exactly why even when I started talking about global selling, I mentioned that documentation should be in place, because the even the marketplace side of it, where you as a brand can set up your own store, etc. And the sourcing part of it, like the sourcing compliance requirements are, like, I think one step more than the marketplace requirements. But both said, I think since country level compliances and documentations are something that uh, is, even if one document is missing, like, because we don't want a customer to have any sort of issue with the products that we sell, because Walmart is known for everyday low cost, right? And if everyday low cost cannot be associated with low quality, right? Because that will tarnish the brand value. And being the Fortune number one brand consistently for over so many years, right? There is some sort of goodwill that the brand also associates. So I think Walmart, onboarding on Walmart is a challenge. But once you get through it, then I think the kind of customer base you get to tap into is higher. So, yeah.
So I think well said, because most of the brands, when they're growing, and if the documentation is not in place, that time if you get delisted because of some reason, you're actually getting delisted at the time of your growth, right? So when your product is getting launched again with all the compliances, you're actually starting from day zero. Again, it's a restarting kind of. So you we advise
Correct.
people that you have all the documents, you start, because when you will be growing, more scrutiny will be on top of it, people will see that this document is missing. जब आप छोटे होते हो कोई नहीं देख रहा, पर जब आप बड़े होगे तो scrutiny में आ जाते हो, and that time if you will facing these problems, then it's a problem for your growth also. And that's why we have not many global stories in global market, right? Make in India brand growth story. So that happens.
Adding to that, I will also say that, if you ever make it big, and especially if you're on the third the marketplace side of it as a third party, ensure you register your brand, because we have seen brand cannibalization as well. The moment you make it, somebody registers your brand in as on the USPTO, and then they can ask you to remove your listings, and they'll probably capitalize on the brand value. So always ensure your brand is also registered. So yeah.
Shruti, like as Jeffrey mentioned rightly, because it is customers trusting on Walmart, okay, and it is a inherent trust that like whatever is available at Walmart, Walmart checked it thoroughly. So like, and again, it is not the expectation from the customer. He knows each and everything. So that's why you can say to just keep the trust, Walmart has to do all these things. Otherwise, if single check fell, then you can say again the Walmart brand itself is getting impacted. So that's why you can say trust point of view, compliances and other aspects are very much important, even if sometimes product became little costlier. But if compromise in terms of compliances, qualities and all, then it is very short run, not long run sustainable part.
Yeah.
So I think, Vinith, you can give your closing remarks. I just saw your message.
Yes. We need to unmute.
I think I've said enough. We should just build for the pet parent will follow. And I think if we all keep doing that, it's a beautiful industry to be a part of.
Right. Thank you, Vineet. Pleasure listening to you today.
Thank you. Thank you. It was
Thank
really
you.
nice interacting with you.
Thanks, Vineet.
I'm also going to push off because I've got to go to something urgent for my.
Yes, actually, we are on the verge of closing ourselves. So I think it's time for us to close the session officially. Shruti, anything you
Yeah,
want to
I'll
say?
just say one last thing. So, Bhupendra, given your journey and you were exploring everything of your own, right? And I think the aim, the vision of building this export circle, the community is that only that, you don't struggle alone. You get the bunch of, experts who will help you, guide you to crack any market with all the compliances, with all the processes. I'm sorry we were not there then when you were starting, but today we are here, and I'm hoping, and it's not focused on typical categories, it's open for all, but I think that also gives us the understanding of how the different categories are growing in different countries, right? So thank you, thank you. I see this is a great dire need, what we are building, and I'm now more confident and focused on Export Circle as I listen to you guys, and thank you.
Thank
By
you,
the way, today
everyone.
Reliance has launched their pet food brand called Waggies. You know that?
Yeah, yeah, I got to
Yeah, I
know.
read that today. So that's a very big step. Very big step.
Right. And I thank you, everybody, for this fantastic dialogue. And at TPCI, we look forward to engaging with all of you and taking the concerns of this industry forward. And I'm sure this is the first of many discussions we will have in the coming months. Thank you so
And
much.
guys, I'm looking forward to see you all in this food.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.